So Providence is 2-0 in the Kim English era, and they have length, they have athleticism, but they need to sharpen up to beat Wisconsin. Because they're averaging 15 turnovers per game, and they've played inferior competition in Columbia and UWM. That's not going to cut it against Wisconsin if they're that sloppy with the ball. Last season, Kim English's team at George Mason also had some issues taking care of the ball, averaging 13.7 turnovers per game compared to Wisconsin's 8.6. So I do think that turnover battle will play a role in this game. Can Wisconsin spread that turnover margin? Can Providence keep it close? That's something to keep an eye out for. But Wisconsin, on the flip side, they're coming off a loss against a Tennessee team that looks like they have the potential to be one of the best teams in the entire country. And that game can be looked at as a great learning experience for Wisconsin, where they could really shore up some things, especially on the defensive end. There were some uncharacteristic breakdowns for typical Wisconsin teams. And I'm sure Gard's going to have them sharper, more locked in on the defensive end against Providence. And for Providence, looking at their playmakers, they have Bryce Hopkins, who is off to a really slow start this year. He's shooting 27% from the field somehow at 6'7", but don't get it wrong. He is a legit stud. He is a first-team All-Big East guy, and I think that's a matchup to watch out for. Bryce Hopkins and Tyler Wall on the other side. That's going to be fun because Wall is one of the most versatile, one of the better defenders in all of college basketball. And if he can prolong this slow start for Hopkins, that bodes well for Wisconsin. But the big key is they need Tyler Wall to stay on the court. If he gets in foul trouble, heads to the bench, Hopkins is going to feast because the drop-off between Wall and the next best defender, it's large. The veteran point guard Devin Carter is leading the way for Providence, averaging 13 points per game, and then not far behind him is Jaden Pierre, who's averaging 12.5 in a much expanded role this season. And then to round out the starting lineup for Providence, you have two George Mason transfers that followed English over, and Josh Aduro down low at 6'9", and then Devontae Gaines, the lengthy wing. Yeah, Providence, as I mentioned earlier, they're lengthy, they're athletic, they're averaging 9 blocks per game after, against a fearing competition, but 9 blocks per game, which is third in the country. But Wisconsin is the best athlete on the court, in my opinion, AJ Storr, one of the more underrated athletes in the country, and Tyler Wall. So I don't think Providence's athleticism will totally overwhelm Wisconsin. And the keys to victory is, like I mentioned earlier, the turnover gap. Can Providence get Wall in foul trouble and let Hopkins feast? And something to be aware of is that Steven Crowell is 3 inches on Josh Adoro down low. And I would utilize that if I'm Wisconsin. I would feed the post and play inside out through Crowell. If they dig down or they double, dish it out to an open shooter, or go one-on-one and take your chance that Crowell, is going to put the ball in the hoop. But yeah, Providence has the advantage at its home court. Wisconsin has the advantage of playing a tougher opponent in Tennessee. This game is tough to call. I'm torn on it. I don't know who to predict. But for my prediction, I'll go with the Vegas favorites, and I'll pick Wisconsin, who's a favorite by a slim margin, 1.5. And I will predict that Wisconsin wins, but Providence will cover the spread, meaning that Wisconsin wins in a 1-point game. But this is truly anyone's game. It's really tough to make a prediction this early in the season. And that's all I got for you. Thank you very much for making it to the end of the video. If this is your first video with me, make sure to like and subscribe for more college basketball content. I'll see you next time.